Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
Digby keeps charging the cat, and we don't know why.
Oh no!
But not always. They'll be fine. And then he'll just kind of lock eyes with her.
Yeah.
And he'll stare at her for like 20 seconds and then just charge her. And I mean, she always runs away, and I don't know that anything would happen, but so my parents are like, do something. And I was like, what?
What would you suggest I do?
Explain to me precisely what am I going to, do you want me to talk to him? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, he's deaf now. And he just,
Digby.
He's 15. He's not getting any more
not
malleable. First I'm going to your Witcher, Valley of Plenty.
I really liked it.
I liked that part.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Introduce us and then we'll go.
So, hello everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show. On today's episode, we are going to have a conversation about The Witcher. Predominantly, I think it's going to be Kristin kind of explaining it to me. Because
I'm not sure we want that.
God knows, I have no idea.
I haven't read the book or played the video game, and Will hasn't even played the video game, so he couldn't explain it to me.
Yeah, so we both watched it. We watched it separate. We've been apart for over a week. You went to New Hampshire with his family.
Yep.
And so other than the occasional message, and then I did drive into town to pick you guys up from the airport.
But it was after midnight, so I was very sleepy, and we had like half an hour to catch up.
Yeah, I thought about it driving home, where I was like, I'm sorry about that. I was really worked up, so I like completely unloaded on you guys in the car, which, I mean, I want to do, I know that. But I was like, I don't think I asked them a single thing about their entire trip.
I mean, it was good. We saw some people, got some cool presents.
Will got some nifty new shoes, I noticed.
Will got some really good shoes, yeah. We didn't really do a lot. We watched 2.5 seasons of The Great British Bake Off. So that was pretty sweet. But yeah, we didn't it wasn't like a high stakes Christmas vacation. It was very chill.
We were hunkered down. So we watched The Witcher separately.
Yes.
And I didn't care for it that much. And we'll explain. I'll get into it. And you, I'm assuming, liked it fine or more?
I did, yeah. I can't say I loved it, but I liked it enough to be excited and interested in a season 2.
You know, I would say that I didn't like it at all, and yet I could be excited in a season 2.
And so because that's the thing, is I feel like there was so much buildup till the last 2 seconds of the season. And it's the whole season, and I'm gonna this has been out by the time this episode comes out, it'll have been out for 3 weeks already. I'm not gonna really worry a ton about spoilers. So I would say light spoilers going on. And so many people who were fans have already read the books and played the video game. So I think light spoilers for a while, and then we can go hard into it later. But the whole season, it's the princess needs to find Henry Cavill, and it's go find him. And then it's literally the whole time I was like, when the fuck is she gonna find him? And it wasn't until we were more than halfway through this season that I was like, oh well, it's gonna be the literal last thing that happens. And so that's the kind of thing where it was such a buildup of the lore and the world in this, and I have a feeling we're gonna have more of a team going forward in season 2.
Yeah, because I did find some of the characters interesting. And the other thing I was going to say, as far as my not liking it, is I spent the week with my brother, and he is going through a very bad breakup. Yeah. And so we watched this together, and my brother does not like long-form scripted television or high fantasy.
Gotcha. So that might have informed your feelings a little.
He was a trooper, and
Okay.
he's the one that kept telling me to put it on. We would watch stuff throughout the day, and then when he was getting ready to kind of go to bed, we were out in the living room, and he'd be like, put on The Watcher, it'll be fine, or The Witcher, it'll be. Believe me, I wish we were talking about a Buffy spinoff that was about Giles.
Like young Giles?
Like young Giles, played by what's his face from Teen Wolf, young Christopher Argent.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
I can't remember his name.
That.
It's like Max Lloyd Jones or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And he was just on his phone. He was a trooper, but there was a part of me that kind of felt the need to keep justifying to the other person in the room why I was watching this silly show.
Yeah, and then that's no fun for you as a viewer.
Especially if someone that I trusted told me to watch season 2, if they were like, watch season 2, they really do something with all the buildup that they did in season 1, then I would definitely give it a go and could even see liking it. A show I might compare this to is season 1 of Black Sails.
Okay.
Because Black Sails took its time.
It really
took
did.
6 episodes for anything to really kind of start to happen.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until season 2 that it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I feel like I had more patience for something like Black Sails. I was going to say maybe because it's more up your alley, but you would think the high fantasy would be more up your alley. So I'm not sure either. You would think, but I'm learning stuff about me all the time. And
are you maybe not that into the high fantasy as you thought you were?
Well, because I was thinking and I was like, this feels like it should, because remember, I wasn't even interested in the trailer. I thought it looked, and I thought it was trite. I thought it looked derivative. I thought it was a bunch of kind of like cookie cutter fairy tale, or not even fairy tale, fantasy tropes and cliches. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it was really bringing anything interesting to the table. And I started thinking about other fantasy that I like. And I was like, there's usually a glamour factor, which this thought it had one, but not really. Most of those costumes were pretty ugly and uninspired, I'll go with, my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was subversive in a way that, like, I didn't feel excited by what they were doing and what I was watching. And I don't think it needed to be as adult as it was. I thought this was a TV-14 show at best. And I thought it kept flexing with the tits and the fucks. And
okay, I don't disagree with you. I would also throw in there that because maybe I'm not familiar with the source material or the video game, it was extremely jargon heavy, especially in the first couple episodes. But we have established before in episodes that, like, I have a way higher tolerance for that than you do. So, like, it was not bothering me, but I noted it with, like, a side eye where I was like, we can stop at any time.
We had Yennifer of the Venga Boys, and she had to prevent Milfgard from going to Sodom, and it was just like, oh, God.
Everything wrong, but that's fine.
Because I started counting in, like, episode 4, I just started counting, like, every nonsense word.
Yeah.
And I think I got Orin's, Vukodalak, Striga, Erden, Seglin, Silkamore, Ravers.
So that's the other thing too, is like doesn't appear to be any rhyme or reason to what things are called. So it's not like there's a through line between all the people. Like, all the names aren't similar enough, and they're not different enough from all the names of the cities, which aren't different enough from all the different, like, sects of the witches and stuff, the mages. And so it was like I could tell what was going on by, like, who was on screen and how they were feeling, and that was as far as I went. I couldn't tell you where anyone was from except Geralt, who's from Rivia, because it's the easiest one to say, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah.
And I had no concept of where they were located within, like, in accordance with each other. But
yeah.
Because the other thing that kind of annoyed me in, like, a I was like, oh, you're so proud of yourself, is that there was a handful of times where they would say something tangible. Like they would say like unicorn or werewolf, and somebody would scoff and be like, those aren't real.
Aren't real, yeah.
But I was, Stragaborns are, and it was kind of like, I am going to do this once and only once because it is the single most obnoxious thing that I could do, and I'm trying to stop. But, as someone who is passionate about, storytelling and fantasy and who has written a fantasy novel, I made a very deliberate point to try and use tangible names, even for made up things. Like when I named a couple of kingdoms, I named one of them Luna. I named one of them Valencia. I named one of them Saffron. It's like, these are words that we can wrap our hands around. I'd be like, cool.
They all mean something.
Yeah. And even, spoiler alert, there's a character who is a Melusin, and this character is a proper Melusin, which is a very specific type of thing. But the character then proceeds to go, when met with blank faces, I'm a mermaid. It took itself too seriously, but it did have a weird sense of humor.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think it took itself too seriously, but it took itself as seriously as possible without going over the line into like showgirls territory. Where like they weren't taking it more seriously than the source material intended, but it was like right up to that line.
And I don't think that they embarrassed themselves, because this is the second part of my issue with this show, is if this were just a show, I think I would be a bit more whatever about it. But as I was watching it, I was reading about how it was the third most popular show of the year. And then it even merged into the second. And so there was a part of me that got frustrated because I was like, why? I was like,
because
what?
Of the video game.
Well, is that it?
I mean, the video game and the books.
Warcraft.
Warcraft was like actual bad.
Okay.
And The Witcher has like a through line. Like it has a story already because it's books.
Okay. Of all the deserving genre shows out there, I
agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think it's ridiculous. And especially the fact that it came so late in the year to have that done. But I did want to go back really quick to all the jargon and stuff and like the relation of where you are in the world. I think, and I don't know because again, I haven't read the books, but like if there's like a map or something in the books, that might be helpful, and like a listing of the different kingdoms and people.
I needed a map, and I needed like a...
I needed a map and a flashlight and then two hands for sure. Because I was like, well, he's in a forest. Well, they're in another forest. Which kingdom is this? And so it was... And then added onto that, the fact that it was told non-linearly.
But you don't know till halfway through?
Exactly. It was very confusing.
Because I was convinced I had dropped the ball in like the second act of the first episode, and everyone on Twitter was like, no, we were confused too, and I was like, okay. So because I was like, God, that woman looks like Queen Calanthe, and then we were like a good 20 minutes into it.
Dead, right? Yeah. No, here's the thing for me. I understand why they did it, because I feel like they were able to get more done that way, like get more packed into season 1 and get us to the point where season 2 will sort of take off. I understand that. At the same time, there was like no like year numbers. There's no like, this is at this time, this is at the next time. There's nothing like that. It is really just like you either keep up or you drown. And that's it. And so that was a little frustrating because I did have to keep being like, okay, which timeline is this? Is it the like present or the future or the past? Because we're doing all three. And I was like, I didn't sign up for Lost 2.0. So
believe it or not, I actually have several things that I liked. Do we want to talk about things we liked?
Yeah, sure.
I think right out of the gate, one of the things that I did enjoy was how diverse the show was. Yeah. And especially in a way that didn't feel contrived. It very organically felt diverse. And this was another thing that dawned on me, especially considering how much it was not clicking with me. This show was very female heavy and focused. And so that was also kind of frustrating me, because you would think I had a similar conversation with Will when I just watched Watchmen. Mm-hmm. And I waited for it to be over so I could watch it kind of in a swoop. And he was really unsure as to whether or not, he was like, I can't tell if you're going to like this or not. Because he was like, it seems like the kind of show you might just find boring. And I mostly just liked it. And I was like, I think because it had interesting and dynamic women in it, like particularly Regina King and Jean Smart, I think that really kept my attention in a way that if the show were all men, I think my eyes would have glazed over a handful of times.
Yeah, of course. I
did like that element of it. I wish it did. So much of it really felt derivative. And I feel like I'm saying that too frequently. But I mean, my favorite show of the decades thus far has been Magicians. And that is an extremely subversive show. So maybe it set a precedent for me.
Yeah, I think that could be true. And again, I think that's something that's like an instance where we differ, because while I do love Magicians and I do love its subversion, I am like so game for things that just like do the trope, but do it well.
Do you think this did its trope stuff well?
I do, for the most part, actually. I think it was actually really good. The one thing that frustrated me early, and it sort of redeemed itself, was I didn't love the stuff with Yennifer. Because, okay, here's the thing. I ended up feeling it was fine because the through line that they gave her was good and active, but they didn't make it clear initially that she didn't make the choice to have that hysterectomy procedure.
I mean, I felt like she did, though, because she was so brazen about charging in there and like demanding it at all costs. It was.
But the thing for me is that I didn't realize that everyone had to do that. I thought she did it in order to be beautiful. But all of the mages go through that. They all do. Because she has that conversation with Geralt where he's like, they made us sterile for a reason. And so, like, he is sterile and all the mages are sterile, but that wasn't made clear when it happened to her. So I spent like 3 episodes thinking that she chose to do that so she could be beautiful, and then she was mad she couldn't have a baby. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that's a really weird thing, but it turns out it would have happened to her no matter what if she became a mage.
Okay, because I did not make that. I had glossed over when that conversation was happening. I kind of, was it when they were in the weird bar and when they had that conversation and then the guy came up to her?
You're going to have to give me more. They were in weird bars with guys a lot.
She was complaining about the ale. And then she ran into Geralt, and
it's a hard G. It's Geralt.
Okay, Geralt.
Sorry.
So what I was saying didn't make any sense. Yeah, I remember now. I remember that conversation now.
Well, it was like when they were hunting for the dragon. Is when they had the conversation.
Then no, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Although that was interesting. Yeah, I stand by I would watch more in this world, but I didn't enjoy what I've seen so far.
Which I totally understand, because it was very exposition heavy. It was like a lot of information dumps and but also told out of order. And then, yeah, I understand why you didn't like it. I just it went over a lot better for me.
And I liked Yennefer. I'll go with a lot. Yeah. And pretty immediately, the second we saw her, I was like, we're dealing with Helena Bonham Carter and Merlin. Like, just.
Oh my God, I said the same thing. Same thing.
And I think that's part of my whole, not being excited by it was because I've seen everything it's done, and I think all the other things did it better. But.
Well, I appreciated that it doesn't actually seem to be a Helena Bonham Carter and Merlin thing. Like, her transformation is permanent.
Well, sure, but. Yeah. For me, I felt about this show like if somehow the Shannara Chronicles was the biggest show of 2016, and I was like, really?
Do you know what Will said yesterday when we were watching? He put it on Twitter, and he was like, it's funny because Henry Cavill feels like he's in a season of Supernatural because he's doing Monster of the Week stuff, and he was like, the Yennefer and Cirilla stuff all feels like it's in the Shannara Chronicles. And I was like, it's not, you're not wrong.
But I did, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, yeah. I did like Yennefer, and I think most of that was Anya Charlotta. I also thought she was a babe. I thought she was such a babe.
Yeah, she's a super babe.
I texted Martin and Amira, and I was like, I've got a couple's costume for the two of you next year. I was like, you're just going to have to go with it.
Martin does have pretty big arms.
Yeah, I was like, we'll just get him a shitty blonde wig.
Yeah, it'll be great.
But yeah, I thought she was interesting. I didn't realize that while Henry Cavill is the lead of the show, and in most ways it is his show, I didn't realize how much of it was the three of them.
Yeah.
I thought they were glorified sidekicks in a way that, like, we spend entire episodes, like, is Henry Cavill in the second episode at all? And I was like, shit. And also, I ultimately like Henry Cavill, but there are a lot of little asterisks.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna bring this up because Henry Cavill is one of the things that I liked best about this show, actually, which is shocking to me because I just am certain he's a dick in real life. And apparently he's been a dick publicly a couple of times. And I'm just not... He's not my favorite dude, I guess. He's not my favorite superhero dude. And
he does seem nicer. I watched a couple behind the... Like, he seems slightly... I don't know if humbled is the word, but I watched a couple
one would hope.
That would be a good
he's
look.
Like that's maybe what it is he has a level of arrogance that I don't feel he's earned.
Because, and he looks, it's too Gaston. It's like, you can't look that way, and then, like, if you're even, like, 40% jerk, it's too much.
Agree. I totally agree. That's why Chris Evans is such a breath of fresh air.
Such a pussycat, yeah.
You look like that, and you're also, like, the nicest man in the world. But it's like, Henry Cavill, it's sort of... He has a level of arrogance that would suit being cast as Superman if only he weren't in the worst Superman movies in existence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... Like Brandon Routh was arguably in the only one that was worse, and he's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still playing Superman on the CW, so I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, did he say more than 20 words in the entire show? Because I love that meme where it was like the two buttons and one of them just said, and the other one said, fuck. And it was like, because that's pretty much all he did the entire show was just, fuck.
In fairness, he is able to imbue both responses with enough emotion that I think it works. But I did also really like the kind of meta moment where he's talking with Yennefer in one of the later episodes too, and he's like, every time I see you, I say more words in 5 minutes that I've said in the last 5 months, and they all seem to be the wrong ones. And I was just like, that's funny.
What exactly was their connection? Is the first time they met that weird orgy scene?
I think
that was somehow both too explicit but also too tame?
I think yes.
Okay. Was it just chemistry? I mean, was it just you're hot and I'm hot? I mean, I know that they had sex after the genie. Oh, God, that plot line.
But that I think is what connected them, is because the djinn was not, like, totally satisfied or something. It was something about their experience with the djinn that they have, like, a weird connection now.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I don't know.
It wasn't super clear to me. I think the being told in different timelines was another thing that really took me out, because I had started tweeting about my response to the show, and I had gotten like 6 tweets in by the time I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm not going to keep talking about this. And one of my tweets was, I was like, well, I like this nerd. I was like, Jasker, whatever his name was, the bard.
Jaskier.
Yeah, I was like, I like him, and when he was there, he was very, very there. And when he was gone, he was absent. And I was like, where is he? And again, that like scene with the djinn, he like spring-loaded out of the forest and was being like an 11 on the obnoxious scale.
Yeah.
And then stole the genie, and that is one of the few times where they were like, I mean, I obviously know what a djinn is, but that was one of the few times they were like, here's a layman's term for you noobs out there.
Absolutely.
And it was just sort of like, where did you come from? Why are you here? Like, what is happening? And furthermore, we're never going to see you again. And so my guess is he was in the past?
Jaskier?
Yeah.
I don't know, because that was the other thing too. I couldn't get a grasp on how long the timeline was going, because there were many scenes where they talked about decades having passed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been decades since I last saw you. And I was like, well, Jaskier is not looking any different. And he's a human person, so he should be looking aged if you've been, like, hanging out with him for 30 years.
Well, that also explains why
he's
also just so gone, because he's, like, dead and gone at a certain point. But
maybe, but it was like, it can't really have been 30 years, because Cirilla is
15, I would guess.
She's like a child. And so it's like, we start at one point, there is something about the queen having won her first battle, and she's like roughly the age Cirilla is when we first meet her. So like, and she's her grandmother, but she doesn't look like her grandmother. So I don't, and that's the thing. It's like the casting's a little weird in that sense. And then like the language they're using and the way that the timelines all skew together. So it's like, it could have maybe been 30 years since the queen won her first battle until the latest stuff we see with like the mage battle at the end of the series. But it's never made clear when Geralt first meets Yennefer, when he first meets Jaskier, when he first meets anybody. And so it's like, we're just in this like weird middle section soup that you can't put a button on anyone. And it's a little frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish it was just like 15 years post blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, I could have kept up with something like that.
And also the things that it chose to spend so much time on, like that, like Striga or whatever, we spent an entire hour hunting her down. And I know that they like name dropped her father in the last episode, but it didn't really mean anything to me. And we were at that wedding for like a full hour.
Almost.
And I was kind of like, what a strange use of the minimal time that we have.
I totally agree, because it was also only 8 episodes, so it's like a relatively easy, quick watch, but there's just so many points that are sort of confusing, and with the sort of jargon soup that you're getting the whole time, it's really hard to place everybody where they're supposed to be in time and space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I literally it was like the Nilfgaards or whatever were attacking the queen and Cirilla's kingdom. Who knows? That's the thing. I have no idea.
That was the other thing I couldn't parse, was I was just like, or like there were elves in the beginning, and I was like, okay, why and how and what? Like, and it didn't, and maybe that'll pay off next season, but like
there are a couple elves dispersed within the whole show, but I agree with you. It's very like, and for what though now? I agree. I ended up really liking it, but I do have issues for sure. Like, there are things that should be sorted out. And
well, I also think you're liking the potential. Like, it's I think you feel like you've invested in this thing and you have a fair amount of faith that it'll pay off. In a way that it's like, I would be more there if I weren't so annoyed that it's getting so, like I said, the fact that it's as popular as it is making me angry, because I'm just like, Euphoria, The Boys, The Society, like hell, even The Umbrella Academy. I'm like, there was just so many things this year that I'm like, why are we putting all of this cultural conversation on this thing? I
agree. There were so many things this year, and I feel like there were things that did fantasy equally or better than this.
I mean, having watched 3 episodes of The Order, I feel like I was more wowed by The Order than I was.
It was at least felt like it was doing something a little bit different, and in a way that this does feel very reminiscent of Lord of the Rings and a lot of stuff that's similar to that. And so it was kind of, I get it, but also like, maybe calm down.
Yeah. What was your read on Queen Calanthe? Because I really liked her until there was a point where I was like, why do I like you? Because by all accounts, you're pretty awful.
Yeah, I think the actress is compelling.
Yeah, she was an interesting casting choice because she wasn't a glamazon.
Yeah, but I think the actual queen is not great.
I mean, I think I was just responding to it was kind of fun and funny that she was like a warlord.
Yeah.
And so that I was kind of like interested, and especially the way that she liked Geralt so much.
Yeah.
At first, the fuck if I know what the hell the law of surprise was. Is it just Rumpelstiltskin?
I honestly don't know, because
I watched it twice. I was like, I couldn't. It was like when you're drunk and it's like you can only hold on to 5 words at a time, but every sentence has 8 words. So they just kept dropping out of my head.
So it was very weird to me. It feels like it's something that someone has to claim like against you, sort of. But it also feels kind of like the parent has to agree.
Yeah, because it's you're basically promising something that you don't have yet that can be claimed at any time. And it's like, why would you ever
do that to yourself?
Yeah, it's like, because I see no way in which it can benefit the first person.
Right. Like the person who's giving something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because you have to already, like, basically, he had already done the rescuing. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, law of surprise. And it was like, but he already gave you the thing. He could ask for anything now. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah. And they didn't really explain why Cirilla was magic, did they?
Well, at one point the queen said, I thought that the powers had skipped you. Or no, that was to Cirilla's mother.
Yeah.
I thought the powers had skipped you like they did me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like a family thing, but the queen didn't get them.
Okay. I don't know, because, I mean, and we also did lose so many characters, but I don't know, well, with the fucking timeline bullshit, I just...
Who knows when that was actually taking place? That's the thing. That's like...
Well, and also the mage, I mean, did we lose all the mages?
I hope not, because one of them was Romilda Vane from Harry Potter, and I like her a lot.
Well, I was going to say, I liked, like, maybe Triss. Was she the one that kind of looked like a more glamorous Maya Rudolph?
Yeah, that's Romilda Vane.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I liked Triss, and I really liked Sabrina, but she has my whole thing.
Yeah, she is.
Blonde with big eyes.
Got the nose and the blonde hair, yeah.
And I don't remember if she died or not. She
did. She fell from the tower after, because she had gotten that worm in her ear or whatever.
Yeah, but she was still talking after she fell from the tower, so...
Oh, maybe then, maybe. I don't know. I think the, like, leader... Trisea, I think she's okay. Or okay. Tisea, I guess. Yeah. Definitely Yennifer, and then I'm not sure.
And I mean, I liked that chunk in the middle where Yennifer was, like, guarding that other human queen, and they were running through the... Well, because it was the only time that we had, like, yellow and purple in the show.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah.
We could keep going, but frankly...
I don't know how much more we'd say.
Yeah, I was like, do you have...
any consequence?
The fucking dryads, at first I was like, just call these Amazons. And then it said dryad on the screen, and I was like, oh. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then it didn't go anywhere, and so... I mean, it could continue somewhere. I don't know. I really... Like, honestly, for me, this was like a 4 out of 10. But I'm not completely closed off to it. I am open to more, and we're getting more, so... Yeah,
not for like over a year, but we're...
2021, yeah.
2021.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think I mostly liked it. I definitely am responding a lot to the potential that it has, because I think it does have potential to be better than this season was. But, I mean, mostly I liked it. I think the chemistry between... specifically Yennifer and Geralt was, like, pretty good. I thought that they did well together, and there was the one moment where he literally was trying to explain the djinn to her, I think, and she was like, oh yes, please, tell me how stuff works. Mm-hmm. And I laughed out loud because I thought she just was, like, so frustrated with him. I thought it was great. But so there were moments that I do think transcended what it was for the most part, but I agree, there were things that I think it could do better, and I really cannot even imagine what a season 2 would even look like, so I guess we'll see.
Hopefully focused.
I would love a little more
and actually
focus.
Something to say, but...
Yeah, I would love a little more focus, because that is, I think... I would also not hate if it was told in a linear style. And I think now that Geralt is with Cirilla, I would hope that they do that they go just a straightforward storytelling from here on out. But
you really liked the whole like who is Yennifer thing, and I didn't. A lot of people did. I didn't get it. I kind of agree with, was it Charles, where he was like, she's a witch. Next question.
Because of how fraught their relationship is, I want to watch Geralt in his his whole awkward situation have to be like, well, to this child, have to explain his relationship with Yennefer.
But to that, with what we know about Geralt, I could see him being like,
true,
she's a witch.
True.
And like wandering off. And what was were you expecting for, oh shit, Julia Louis-Dreyfus' sister? I forgot her name.
Oh, God, that's not helpful.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus' sister, the one from True Blood.
Like, in real life?
Yeah.
Okay, what about her? You were expecting
that woman with the blonde hair. I was expecting she was, like, hellbent on taking Cirilla back to her house. And I was like, Cirilla straight up stole her horse and then clearly killed those people. And she was still
that
like...
actually her?
I thought it was. I can't think of her name. From True Blood.
No, I know who you're talking about. I don't think that was her.
Oh. Hold on, I'm
looking it up. I also found it weird. I was like, why are you still being nice to this
I kept
woman,
waiting for her to be like evil. And then when she wasn't, I was like, well, just go stay with her, Cirilla. You'll be better off there.
You kept waiting for her to be evil. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
Hey, you are right. That was not her. She was, however, on Castle Rock.
I see
Lauren
how
Bowles.
she looked like her with her curly hair, but yeah.
Lauren Bowles is her name.
Lauren Bowles, that's her name, yeah.
And that was not her.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, what on earth are you I was like, did I miss a whole plot point?
Which is possible.
It's totally possible.
Yeah, my one and only.
Your one and only note? Oh, God.
I just looked at it. I just wrote, call me Estella, because I am not interested in Pip.
Oh, my God.
I don't know where that came from, but...
Oh, brother.
So, okay, well, throw a coin to your Witcher.
Yeah. Watch The Witcher if you feel like it. Let us know what you think if you finish it. And
or don't. It's probably exactly what, like, anything that you could imagine is probably what it is.
Yeah, I mean, not no, so. It is many things, and I believe it's even more things to many
Having
people.
not
so.
seen season 2, you could start season 2 blind and know as much as we know.
That is probably true. Us specifically, not everybody that watched season 1. I'm sure there are people who got it more than we did.
So angry. We're going to get tweets from Trevor and Rochelle.
Actually,
and Tiffany, to be honest.
Rochelle and I were going back and forth a little. I think we got the same amount of stuff out of it. But I'm sure she'll let us know. So, all right. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at So I'm Watching, Instagram at So I'm Watching This Show. We're also on Facebook and Tumblr, So I'm Watching This Show. I suspect if it's available, Throw a Coin to Your Witcher will be on the Spotify playlist.
I should see if I can find that like remix that somebody did on Twitter.
Oh, God. And you can link out to everything from our website, soimwatching.com, and just rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. And that's it for us. Bye.
Masterful deceit broke down my lute and they kicked in my teeth, while the devil's horns minced our tender meat, and so cried the witcher, he can't be bleed.